Have you ever felt that gut-wrenching frustration, that indignant surge, when a clear-cut decision, one that seems so undeniably right, is suddenly twisted, distorted, and branded as a mistake by those who claim to know best? Remember that collective sigh of relief, that shared sense of good riddance when the news broke? When the San Francisco 49ers finally offloaded Deebo Samuel, a player who, by all accounts, had become more of a liability than a weapon. Most of us, myself included, saw it as a clear win for the Niners. A shrewd move, a necessary evil. But then, the experts weighed in, and suddenly, we're told the 49ers lost this trade? A C+. Are we living in a parallel universe, or are some analysts simply missing the glaring, undeniable truth about just how detrimental Deebo Samuel had become to this team? For weeks, the air around the San Francisco 49ers had been thick with speculation, a palpable tension surrounding the future of Deebo Samuel. The whispers had grown into a roar, the signs undeniable. Samuel, once the electrifying wide back who redefined the modern offensive weapon, was no longer the same player. His contract, once a testament to his unique value, had bloated into an albatross, a financial burden that felt increasingly out of sync with his on-field production. When the news finally broke that the 49ers had traded Samuel to the Washington Commanders for a mere fifth-round pick, a wave of collective relief washed over the faithful. It felt like a strategic masterstroke, a necessary amputation to save the body. Most analysts, echoing the sentiment of the fan base, lauded the move as a clear win for the 49ers. And why wouldn't they? The reasons seemed glaringly obvious. First and foremost, the ability to offload Samuel's massive contract was a feat in itself. In an NFL landscape where every dollar counts, shedding such a significant financial commitment for a player entering his age 29 season, and one coming off arguably the worst performance of his career, felt like a stroke of genius. But Samuel's issues weren't confined to the stat sheet or the salary cap. The reports from within the locker room painted a troubling picture. He wasn't just a drag on the field. He was, at times, a drag on the sideline, a source of friction, even famously hitting the long snapper in a moment of frustration. For a team built on chemistry, grit, and a unified locker room, these off-field distractions, however minor they might seem individually, accumulate and erode the very foundation of a championship contender. The trade, therefore, felt like a cleansing, a removal of an increasingly toxic element, allowing the team to breathe and refocus. But then, the contrarian opinions started to trickle in, culminating in a head-scratching assessment from Bleacher Report. Their analyst, Christopher Knox, slapped the 49ers with a C+ grade for the trade, while simultaneously showering the Commanders with an A. A C+ for the 49ers? It felt like a slap in the face to anyone who had actually watched the team last season, to anyone who understood the nuances of Samuel's declining impact. Knox argued that San Francisco wasn't as clearly a winner considering the low return, but this wasn't the worst move for the 49ers. He pointed out that Samuel was entering a contract year and had actively sought a new home, suggesting the 49ers were simply acquiescing to his wishes. Knox further reasoned that while the 49ers absorbed a hefty $31 million dead cap hit by trading Samuel, they achieved a clean financial break, disentangling themselves from void years that stretched all the way through 2029. This financial liberation, he contended, provided general manager John Lynch with a clear path to extending crucial pieces like Tight and George Kittle, and most importantly, franchise quarterback Brock Purdy during the offseason. From the Commanders' perspective, Knox saw a clear victory. They acquired a versatile offensive weapon who should complement Cliff Kingsbury's offense, a player with a proven track record of dynamic playmaking. Now, with all due respect to Christopher Knox, it's clear there's a fundamental disconnect here. His analysis, while touching on some valid financial points, seems to utterly miss the unvarnished truth of Deebo Samuel's on-field performance last season. To put it bluntly, he was awful. And it's this critical omission, this failure to truly grasp the depth of Samuel's decline, that renders his C+ grade for the 49ers not just questionable, but frankly insulting. Let's dive into the cold, hard numbers, because the statistics paint a far more damning picture than any general narrative. First, consider Samuel's performance as a running back, a role where he once terrorized defenses and earned his wide back moniker. Last season, he averaged a career-worst 3.2 yards per carry. Think about that for a moment. 3.2 yards per carry. For a player whose primary value in the run game was his ability to break tackles and gain yards after contact, this is an abysmal figure. To underscore just how poor this was, Samuel broke only one tackle throughout the entire season as a ball carrier. One. He was, by a significant margin, the worst ball-carrying option on the team, performing even worse than Patrick Taylor Jr., a player who was essentially an emergency depth option. This wasn't just a slight dip, it was a catastrophic collapse in a facet of his game that was once his signature. But the struggles weren't confined to the backfield. As a receiver, Samuel's efficiency plummeted into a statistical abyss. Let's talk about success rate, a crucial metric that measures how often a receiver gains 40% of the required yards on first down, 60% on second down, and 100% on third and fourth down. This metric cuts through the noise of raw yardage and focuses on true down-by-down impact. Deebo Samuel's success rate last season was a mere 40.7%. To put that into perspective, only 3 qualifying wide receivers in the entire league had a lower success rate than Samuel. This isn't just bad, it's near the bottom of the barrel for starting NFL wideouts. Now, for a truly eye-opening comparison, let's look at a teammate operating in the same offense, catching passes from the same quarterback, George Kittle. Kittle, the 49ers' star tight end, boasted a success rate of 73.4% last season, the second best in the entire NFL. The chasm between Samuel's 40.7% and Kittle's 73.4% within the very same offensive scheme is not just significant. It's a glaring indictment of Samuel's declining effectiveness. It demonstrates that the problem wasn't the system or the quarterback, it was Samuel himself. He wasn't consistently moving the chains, he wasn't creating separation, and he wasn't providing the reliable target that a top-tier receiver should. When you combine these stark on-field performance metrics with the reported off-field distractions, the picture becomes painfully clear. Deebo Samuel had become a net negative for the San Francisco 49ers. This brings us back to the strategic genius of the 49ers move. While a fifth-round pick might seem like a paltry return on paper for a player who once commanded so much attention, it's crucial to understand the context. The 49ers weren't trading a peak Deebo Samuel. They were trading a declining asset with a burdensome contract and a history of off-field frustrations. The true win for the 49ers wasn't the draft pick itself, but the immense financial flexibility they gained. By shedding Samuel's contract, even with the dead cap hit, they cleared the necessary cap space and removed those lingering void years, paving a clean, unobstructed path to securing the long-term futures of George Kittle and, critically, Brock Purdy. In the cutthroat world of NFL roster management, sometimes addition by subtraction is the most impactful move a team can make. It's about optimizing the entire roster, not just clinging to name. It's about fostering a cohesive, focused locker room, free from distractions. As for the Washington Commanders, their acquisition of Samuel is undeniably a gamble. They are betting on a resurgence, hoping that a change of scenery and a new offensive coordinator in Cliff Kingsbury can somehow reignite the flame that seemed to have dimmed in San Francisco. Kingsbury's offense, known for its creative use of offensive weapons, might indeed find unique ways to deploy Samuel. But is it worth the massive financial commitment for a player who has shown clear signs of decline and, more concerningly, a propensity for frustration when things aren't going his way? The Commanders are taking on a big contract for a player whose best days might be behind him and whose off-field temperament has raised questions. It's a calculated risk, but one that carries significant downside. So, let's cut through the noise, the analytical acrobatics, and the grades that don't align with reality. The San Francisco 49ers absolutely, unequivocally won the Deebo Samuel trade. They shed a bloated contract, removed a player whose on-field production had plummeted to alarming lows, and perhaps most importantly, eliminated a source of potential friction within the locker room. In return, they gained invaluable financial flexibility, allowing them to secure the future of their core players and maintain their championship window. This wasn't a low-return trade for a valuable asset, it was a strategic divestment of a depreciating asset, clearing the path for a brighter, more cohesive future. Sometimes, the most impactful move isn't about acquiring a superstar, but about having the courage to let go of what's holding you back. What do you think, Faithful? Did the 49ers make the right call, or are the analysts who graded this trade a C+ onto something we're missing? Do you believe Deebo Samuel will find his old form in Washington, or will the Commanders regret this gamble? Share your thoughts, your insights, and your passionate opinions in the comment section below. If you found this deep dive into the Deebo Samuel trade insightful and felt that surge of vindication, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more exclusive analysis and passionate breakdowns of your favorite team. Let's keep the conversation going and set the record straight.